Hello again, college football fans, coming at you with the second video today, Sunday, after the Week 10 goings on yesterday. Starting off with the national upset picks. I tweaked the format a little bit, and instead of going with one pick for an upset, I went with three watches, three games to watch, and boy, did I pick the right three games for my first time doing that. Ohio State got everything they wanted and more out of Nebraska, and then Michigan State goes down to Purdue, and Wake Forest goes down to North Carolina. Um, Michigan State, I figured that they would struggle, and I figured it would be definitely worth watching that game, but I never thought that Purdue would be able to spoil two parties this year the way they've done in the Big Ten. But that's Purdue's role in that conference, and when I saw that after a big emotional win going into a place like that, that's always troublesome. And they actually pulled it off. And kudos to Purdue. That's two big wins for that program this year. And they're actually still in line to win a Big Ten championship. That would be incredible if Purdue could pull that off. Nobody would have seen that coming. And Wake Forest, now that was more predictable. I mean, how often do you see a dark horse like that is put together an impressive resume, undefeated, season late into the year for the first time in decades that the nation has been focused on them, and they've gotten the attention of the national media and all that. And as soon as you get the nation's attention, then you lay an egg on the field. And they didn't lay an egg. I mean, they lost to a talented, good North Carolina program that's had some bad breaks this year, a lot better than their record shows. And so that was you could see that coming. But nevertheless, I feel good about my three picks. I mean, if it hadn't been for Florida, I would have had a darn close to perfect prediction video last week, and we'll talk about that going into the conference games. Uh, Georgia 43, Missouri 6. I got a little bit rambunctious and picked Georgia to win this 52 to nothing, but it was that kind of game. It was just an absolute whitewash, boat race, woodshed, whatever colloquialism you want to put on that. Good win for Georgia. They're continuing their coronation. But I would like to remind the Bulldog fans that they don't give trophies out in November, so just just hold off a little bit before you start buying those championship hats and things like that, because obviously you've got a lot of work left to be done. Because the goal is not just national championship game or playoff. It's to win the national championship. If that's not your goal as a Bulldog fan right now, then you should probably follow golf or something else. Because if you don't win a national championship after what you've done so far, then this year will be a disappointment. And Georgia has they. I don't want to say they're lucky, but they have had the benefit of catching teams at the right times this year. But that happens when you look back on national championship seasons. There's always a little bit of luck and a little bit of fortuitousness going on, and that's happened for Georgia, and they just have that posture right now. They definitely have the posture of a championship team, and they're the only ones that you can say that about right now. I mean, everybody else is just kind of tripping over each other, trying to close out this season, and Georgia just keeps rolling along like a monster. Liberty 14, Ole Miss 27. Now I predicted that Ole Miss would win this by 14 points. They won by 13, but I figured it would be a much higher scoring game because that's sort of been the MO of Ole Miss since Lane Kiffin has gotten there. But they managed to beat their old coach Hugh Freeze, and you know, at least I got the winner right and the winning margin close. But defenses have just been a little bit better this year than I was anticipating. It's kind of messing up my whole offense wins championships now, new era of football, and it still is. But defense, you got to hand it to them. They have come around a little bit to some of the things that offenses have been doing to exploit them the last few years. But I still say that we're in an offensive era, and you need that if you want to win a championship. But Georgia is trying their best to prove me wrong. I know they brought in J.T. Daniels a little bit, but you know I'm still skeptical if they run into a team that can figure out how to score on their defense, and that remains to be seen if there is an offense that can figure out how to score against Georgia this year. But I just feel like there has to be. Moving on, Auburn and Texas A&M in the SEC game of the week this week, and another game where just old school defensive SEC game. I figured it would be a struggle and a hard hitting defensive game, but I figured more points would be scored. That's just what I've gotten used to, and we've kind of gone back a little bit, turned back the hands of time a little bit this season when defensive play is concerned. But Texas A&M, you got to tip your cap to them. Ever since they beat Alabama, they have really come on and looked like the team that the preseason people thought that they would be. And they're putting together a pretty good looking season again. You know, if Jimbo Fisher could get over this slow starts that he's had, he could make a run for a national title. And they're still in it. You know, if Auburn pulls off the win over Alabama, then Texas A&M will be going to Atlanta to face Georgia. And honestly, at this point, that looks like that would be a better matchup than Alabama Georgia right now. But we'll have to see how everything shakes out. Mississippi State at Arkansas, and I picked the perfect score, the right score on this one, 31-28. That's exactly what I predicted. The game happened pretty much the way I predicted. I feel bad about pulling against the Mississippi State kicker at the end, but how could I not? This is a real feather in my cap. No matter what happens moving forward in the season, I did pick one game at least to be the exact right score, and I'm happy. I'm just pleased with myself about that. Bama LSU, I dedicated a video on its own to that game, so if you want to hear my thoughts about that, then check out the Alabama LSU video that I put up earlier today. Tennessee 45, Kentucky 42, another game that I figured would be the one game that I thought would be lower scoring. Actually turned out to be a little bit higher scoring, but Tennessee pulls off a close victory like I predicted, and so far, if you're keeping score, every winner I predicted correctly this week until we get to the next game, Florida, South Carolina. And, who could have ever seen this coming? I mean, even in the best of South Carolina years and the worst of Florida years, you would never predict a 40-17 South Carolina victory. Something weird is going on internally in Gainesville. We may never find out, but they're not losing games by 23 points to South Carolina just because they're having a down year. Something's going on. And like I said, we may never hear what that was, but this is a shocking development in Florida. I mean, who could have seen this coming? Total collapse, disappointment, the biggest disappointment in the nation easily now. I mean, they were hovering on the fence for a while, but now it's official. Florida is the biggest disappointment in the country, and I don't know what's going on down there, but it has definitely been disconcerting and shocking to watch. But congratulations to Shane Beamer. Huge signature win. I don't care how bad Florida is. South Carolina beats them. That's a signature win for that team. And, they might be able to weasel their way into a bowl game, and that would be incredible. Shane Beamer has not done as good a job in his first season as Heupel has at Tennessee, but he's done a good job. He's done as good a job as anyone could have asked for because he didn't have a good situation going into either. And back to the Tennessee game, though, Heupel just probably should be the SEC Coach of the Year, in my opinion. I mean, especially when I watch players that used to be on Tennessee, like Ty Chandler, just showing off for North Carolina. And then I think about other players that he lost because of the ugly way that Pruitt left, and still managing to win all these games and beat all these good programs. I mean, Kentucky was a top 10 program a couple of weeks ago, and now they're losing to Tennessee. But it looks like Tennessee's back at the adult table, and that's good to see because, an SEC with a good, strong Tennessee program is just a better SEC, and that's what we want to see. And That's all I got for my review for this week, and I'll be coming out with my predictions and my SEC Power Rankings video very soon. Thank you.